When Lisa first saw the note on the kitchen chalkboard, she laughed. A short, nervous sound that vanished the moment her eyes traced the words again. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" Black marker. Neat handwriting, almost too neat, like a child practicing cursive. No name. No date. Just those 7 words, hanging in the morning silence like a threat wrapped in tissue paper. She spun around, heart hammering. The house was empty. Mark had left for work an hour ago. Emma was at school. Only the hum of the refrigerator and the distant chirp of sparrows outside broke the stillness. But the note, it felt alive. Like it had been waiting for her. Lisa reached out, fingers trembling. She hadn't done anything. Nothing that warranted this. Had she? She tore the note off the board, crumpled it, and threw it into the trash beneath the sink. "It's nothing," she muttered. Probably Emma messing around. But even as she said it, doubt coiled in her stomach like smoke. That was Tuesday morning. By Friday, she'd wish it had only been a prank. Mark had always been the quiet kind. Not cold, just contained. He listened more than he spoke, held doors, remembered how she liked her tea. He never raised his voice, never slammed a door. For years, Lisa mistook his silence for peace. But lately, something had shifted. He'd started watching her. Not in a creepy way at first. More like studying. The way she stirred her coffee counterclockwise. How she'd stopped wearing the pearl earrings he'd given her on their 10th anniversary. Once, over dinner, he'd asked, "You haven't been sleeping well, have you?" Not as a question, but as a statement. As if he'd been counting her restless nights. Lisa brushed it off. "Just stress," she said. But the truth was heavier. 3 months ago, she'd walked into the community legal aid office downtown. Sat in a plastic chair that squeaked with every shift of her weight. Filled out forms with shaking hands. She wasn't filing for divorce because Mark had cheated. Or hit her. Or gambled away their savings. She was filing because he'd vanished while still standing right in front of her. He came home every night. Kissed her forehead. Asked about Emma's science project. But his eyes, they were empty. Like windows into a house no one lived in anymore. And that emptiness had begun to seep into her bones, into Emma's laughter, into the very air they breathed. She wanted out quietly, cleanly, without dragging Emma through a courtroom war. She told no one. Not even her best friend. She thought she was being careful. She was wrong. The second note appeared Thursday morning. This time, it wasn't on the chalkboard. It was on the bathroom mirror, written in deep red lipstick. Her lipstick. The one she kept locked in the top drawer of her vanity, the one she hadn't used since last winter. "You think I'll forget?" Lisa stumbled back, hand flying to her mouth. The tube of lipstick was still in the drawer. Locked. She checked the door, still closed from the inside. Windows latched. No signs of forced entry. No muddy footprints, no strange scents. Someone hadn't broken in. Someone had already been here. And they knew where she kept her secrets. Panic clawed up her throat. She thought of Mark, his quiet intensity, his late nights in the garage. But no. If it were him, he'd confront her. He wouldn't play games. Then a colder thought slithered in. What if it's not him? What if it's Emma? 13 years old. Sharp as a scalpel. Lately, she'd grown distant, spending hours in her room with headphones on, but Lisa had noticed. The music never played. Just silence. And when she looked at her mother, her eyes held something unreadable. Not anger. Not sadness. Something worse. Disappointment. That afternoon, while Emma was at soccer practice, Lisa did something she swore she'd never do. She opened her daughter's backpack. Tucked between math worksheets and a half-eaten granola bar was a small black notebook. She opened it. Page 1, September 12th. The day she'd first gone to the lawyer. Then came the entries. Not scribbles. Not teenage rants. Clinical. Precise. 10:15 a.m. Mom left in gray coat. Said she was going to the library. 1:40 p.m. Returned. Jacket smelled of cinnamon coffee. Library cafe doesn't serve cinnamon. Nearest match, Brew and Company. On Madison, next to Legal Aid Center. 3:02 p.m. Deleted browser history on home computer. Searched. How to file for divorce without spouse knowing. Lisa's breath stopped. Page after page. Dates. Times. License plate numbers of cars parked outside the house. Notes on Mark's mood swings. Observations about how Lisa's voice changed when she lied. Her own daughter had been conducting surveillance. For months. That evening, Lisa stood outside Emma's door, hand raised to knock. She'd rehearsed a dozen speeches, angry, pleading, confused. But when Emma opened the door before she could knock, all words vanished. Emma didn't look surprised. Just tired. You found the notebook, she said. Not a question. Lisa stepped inside. The room was neat, too neat. Posters of galaxies and marine life, a shelf of untouched trophies. On the desk, the black notebook, open. Why? Lisa whispered. Emma sat on the edge of her bed, arms wrapped around herself. Because you were leaving. And you weren't even going to tell him. I was trying to protect you. From what? The truth. Emma's voice cracked. He cries, Mom. Every night. After you go to bed. He watches those old videos, the ones from the lake trip, when you laughed so hard you snorted. He watches them until he falls asleep in his chair. Lisa's knees buckled. She sank onto the bed. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, Emma said softly. You decided he was gone. But he's still here. He's just lost. Then Emma stood, walked to her closet, and pulled out a shoebox. She dumped its contents onto the bed. Photos. Dozens of them. Some were old, birthday parties, beach vacations, Mark teaching Emma to ride a bike. But others were recent. Taken on a phone. Grainy, but clear enough. Mark sitting alone in the garage, head in his hands. Mark staring out the kitchen window at 2 a.m., mug untouched. Mark in his car, tears streaming down his face, hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing holding him together. He thinks you hate him, Emma said. He thinks you look at him and see a ghost. Lisa covered her face. Shame burned behind her eyes. I couldn't breathe anymore, she choked out. Then talk to him, Emma said. Don't run. Don't hide. Talk. Friday morning, Lisa didn't drive to the legal aid office. Instead, she woke before dawn and made breakfast for 3. Scrambled eggs with cheddar. Toast with real butter. Fresh squeezed orange juice, Emma's favorite. And coffee. 2 mugs. 1 black. 1 with a dash of cinnamon. She set the table just like they used to, napkins folded, forks aligned, Emma's juice in the blue glass she'd picked out at age 6. When Mark walked in at 6:45, earlier than usual, he froze in the doorway. His eyes darted to the table, then to her. Suspicion flickered in his gaze. He braced himself like a man expecting a storm. Sit, Lisa said gently. He obeyed, stiff-backed, hands resting on his knees like a stranger in his own home. She placed the cinnamon coffee in front of him. His favorite. The one she hadn't made in over a year. I made a mistake, she said. He didn't move. Didn't speak. I thought you'd stopped caring, she continued, voice trembling. I thought your silence meant you were done. But I was wrong. You were drowning, and I walked away instead of throwing you a rope. Mark's throat worked. He stared into his coffee like it held answers. I was scared, he finally whispered. Every time I tried to talk, you'd shut down. So I stopped. I thought, if I disappeared quietly, it would hurt less. It hurt more, Lisa said. Because I thought I was alone. From the hallway, soft footsteps. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in pajamas, hair messy from sleep. She didn't say a word. Just walked over and sat between them, placing one hand on her father's arm, the other on her mother's. Mark looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in months, his eyes filled with something other than exhaustion. Wonder. Relief. Lisa reached across the table and covered his hand with hers. No grand declarations. No promises of forever. Just 3 people, sitting in the quiet morning light, choosing to stay. Epilogue. Weeks later, Lisa found another note. This time, it was on the fridge. In Emma's handwriting. You stayed. Thank you. She smiled, tucked the note into her pocket, and went to make coffee. Because sometimes, the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's giving someone a second chance and having the courage to take one yourself.